Hello, my name is Dr. Frank Trupiano.
And I'm Delia Hampton.
Welcome to Life Dimensions. Today we're going to be talking about searching for spiritual meaning in our world today. Today I have a special guest, Josiah McCormick, with us today, who is a prominent yoga teacher in New Orleans and who has studied a number of different spiritual paths. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation. You went to India and studied. What triggered that? What made you go there? Why did yoga interest you so much?
Well, thanks for having me, first off, Frank. I really appreciate
All
this.
right.
It started off with me going to this Christian camp called Camp Canoga.
Okay.
It's in North Carolina, Hendersonville. I've been going there for like 18 summers. And I just stumbled upon yoga through a regular course I was taking in college. I needed one more credit to complete like 15 hours as I was playing football at the time,
Right.
and it was a requirement. So I just stumbled in there. Another friend of mine was taking it as well, another ball player. And so after the class, I felt this tremendous relief that I never felt before. All in my shoulders, my eyes, the back of my eyes, the back of my spine. It's like, wow, what is this? You know? So, because usually when I would try to get it released, it would be through, hitting a punching bag or, lifting some weights. But yoga, it was a total different relief that I haven't felt ever in my life.
It made it easier, more natural to release the pent-up
Yeah, but
energy.
it was more of a, I would have to say a peaceful relief.
Okay.
Like it was something came down.
Interesting.
I know there's levels of stress. You
Right.
have the blue level, the brown, the black, but something dropped within my being, and I noticed very quickly. And ever since, I was just on a strong pursuit, for more peace and.
But why?
Yeah.
Why were you on a pursuit for like more peace at that time?
At that
Was
time,
it stressful? The
Yeah,
football?
was something going on in your life?
absolutely extremely stressful. College football, you're fighting to make it to the next level. The NFL, you don't know how the things are going to work out. You're having all these
And I
negative
remember
thoughts going
you
on.
mentioned to me you didn't go to what they call it, the combine, where you
Yeah.
kind of show off your skills. Is
Right, yeah.
that- So can you talk
Test.
about why didn't you go? 'Cause that must have,
Hurricane Katrina happened.
okay.
And that just
Can't
happened to
escape.
be my senior year.
All right.
I was considered as I was a defensive lineman. I was the fastest one on the team in the States. And but I was so stressed out and so down.
Okay.
I got the combine letter and didn't even go. But also my body was really beat up too. The cold tubs wasn't doing it no more. So I got tired of popping painkillers and that was it. But once I was done, I just had no interest in pursuing the career on. So.
And how long after that did you go to India and study some?
So I graduated 2007. I went to India in 2018. Now that was still far along, but I was dipping and dabbling into yoga classes throughout those years, and someone invited me to hot yoga one year.
Okay.
I believe it was maybe 2014 or 15, and I went. It was early in the morning, and it was Bikram yoga at the time. And I went in there, and it was extremely challenging. But I tell you what, the biggest relief I had slept for like 2 days, but I felt amazing at the same time. So once again, this tremendous relief that I felt. And after that, I was hooked. I had to go with it, So I just started taking more classes. Sometimes I would go 3 times a day, maybe even 4. But I would limit it to like maybe 2 times a day, and I just kept doing it. And I had this Brazilian friend of mine tell me, "Hey, you should think about taking a course. Getting your certification." I was like, "Hey, that sounds good," but he said also, "You shouldn't do it in the U.S. You should just go right to India. It's a lot cheaper."
Birthplace for
Yeah,
It is cheaper.
yeah. So he said if I was to get a certification out here in America,
Sure. So
it would have been thousands of dollars more. I went out there in India. I get the total experience. I get taught by real gurus and learn the culture, live amongst the people, and that's what happened.
Okay. So basically, you had an experience
Yes.
that helped you to, or gave you a direction for this path that you took.
Now,
But you've studied a lot of different things, or went through a lot of other different experiences. Or,
yes.
Can you talk some about that? Some of the variety of
So,
experiences you've had.
when I first tried yoga, a little bit afterwards, I decided to go celibate. Right?
Okay.
And I was taking some meditation classes also, where you had to lay down, take 10 deep breaths, and you get these mystical sounds that the instructor was playing, and she's teaching us things. And then one day I had a tremendous experience where I experienced some like matrix effect. I lay down, and what happened was I seen this animated like movie thing kind of going on. I was on a football field and I was communicating with a teammate of mine, but things look electric and they look cartoonish, right? So, and I'm laying there and I was like, wow, is this real? This is awesome. You know, my mind is being blown, not knowing that I was programming my spirit at the same time, because I went in there with specific instructions on.
So that was while you were doing the yoga.
Yeah, so I was doing yoga, but this was the meditation class.
Meditation.
I had during the week there was one meditation class and then one yoga class. This was a particular meditation class.
Now, in the meditate, were you focusing on the energy system?
Oh, absolutely.
The chakras, as they call it, because it seems a lot of this is related to energy.
Yeah.
Your first experience was energy, a release. Something shifted, right?
I didn't know that's what it was, but I was being introduced to it.
How old were you, Josiah?
I would have been about 25.
So you were young.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, for a young guy to kind of be aware.
And that's kind of when we start our path. I
Right.
remember in college I took philosophy, and almost every week the philosophy teacher, he was so good, he had me convinced of every day, in other words, I'd come in, he'd convince me of some idea. Next week I'd come in, he'd convince me of another idea. I didn't know, I was 18 at the time, very influenceable.
That's what I mean, to be that young and still recognize, to have that experience. So
It
that starts your journey. You realize that at that age, between football and the stress, thankfully someone does.
Absolutely. What happened to me, my encounters have absolutely just blew my mind. And I was hooked ever since. I could not turn back, and I hadn't had turned back. So that's really what it was. It was my experiences that I was going through at the time. I would lay on my back. Every time I would lay on my back, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I would experience some type of divine thing happening in my realm, in my world, and I'll be in another realm somewhere else. But it was
That led you to
electrifying.
India then.
Yes.
So what happened when you decided to take that plunge?
To India?
Yes.
Well, I found myself just throughout the years hanging with a lot of deacons and pastors. At one time, I wanted to go to biblical school. So I was always interested in spirituality. I always was interested in the mysteries of the happenings. The question is, what were people going so crazy about what they were experiencing with the Holy Ghost and what the yogis were experiencing, So I wanted a little bit of that. So I went off, and also there wasn't many makeups like myself, big black guy doing yoga. When I went to
From football to yoga.
yeah, when I went to India, they was calling me Hanumanji. Hanumanji, and Hanumanji is the big ape with the big muscles, So I was like, oh, you should get me.
Hanumanji, I like that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I like that.
So I've done that, and it was just I just kept exploring, and
So that seems to be the key too. Again, it's being open.
yes,
You were open. You had an experience. So you
there's many signs.
and went with it. Yes.
Yeah.
There's signs along the way.
Yes. You have numbers. You have your spirit guide, speaking through others. That's why you should never judge anyone because you just never know where that message is coming from.
I agree.
You know?
That's right.
That was a time I've experienced in college where there's this fella, I was staying in the dorm room around those times, and guy just turned around. He was like, Prophet Josiah. He said it from the balcony. Prophet Josiah. And I looked. I said, hey, buddy, how you doing? The very next day, I said, hey, man, what was going on with you? He said, what you talking about? I said, you was screaming from the balcony. I said, I wasn't screaming from the balcony. And then later next week, he did it again. But you can tell that he had no idea what was taking over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, I had a lot of experiences like that as far as matrix effects as well. I went on the football field that day, and I got in my 3-point stance, and I heard this voice in my ear say, "Butt up, shoot forward." I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," you know.
Butt up,
so
shoot forward.
I hit the pad, and as the practice continued, I noticed that something has taken over my body and was performing for me. I was just following instructions, and it was very, very slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could see the guards pulling, and I could see what everyone's doing, and it was amazing. You know, and I got called in the office the next morning by a coach that never spoke to me. We never looked eye to eye, and he was like, "Man, I don't know what happened with you yesterday, but I tell you what, you continue playing like that, you can go on any team in America," you know. So I was like, wow. And unfortunately, it didn't happen again.
Right.
But it did happen. It did happen in different ways. So
Yeah.
I just, I kept praying for the truth. And alongside of me praying for the truth, I learned about the chakra systems and, the Kundalini energy and different postures. So I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper with it, just searching for truth, so.
So that led up to the football, Katrina, and then going to India,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then it's vinyasa. It's a
Vinyasa.
difference. So for the
Can you explain that? I
Yeah.
know there's so many different types of yoga.
there is like
Yeah.
for anybody that's like kind of leery, and you know that Frank knows that. The benefits I've always heard over the years is so good for different things because I'm in the
Yes.
medical field, right? Frank's in the medical field. But what would make someone say, like, for your experience, well, let me do yoga instead of like seeing a doctor? Or,
Yeah, let's say somebody has anxiety.
yeah, I mean, how would they know? Like, you were fortunate, you knew. I mean,
Or depression. I mean, all the different
Yeah.
Right.
problems people have,
like me, help focusing.
My thing was just, I would say, just be determined to take that first step. Just getting in the room,
Right.
taking that first step. I have a brother of mine. He's a bit schizo. Well, at least that's what they diagnosed him with, a little schizo and bipolar. But my belief in that is a lot of times when you encounter folks like that, they're just on a different realm, and and they're experiencing this illusion here. But they would just have to get in a room first, start breathing, go through the whole class, do it correctly. That'll be another thing.
That's the key.
And then that a lot of times that's key. I have had a lot of people that came to me already. Hey, man, thank you so much for introducing me to yoga. You have really changed my life. But you have to keep it up. That's the thing. It has to become a form of a ritual almost,
Consistent.
a daily practice.
A practice.
It doesn't have to be every day. Maybe you squeeze it in every other day, but it does work. So I would just say going into the class first. Going in, not actual like on the video, just on YouTube or anything like that, which is cool, but you want to experience it. You want to be able to go into the other room with everyone else, because a lot of times you get a lot of students that come in, their head are down, their shoulders are tuggy, they come in there with a frown on their face, but when they leave, shoulders is dropped, they have a big smile on their face. I don't know what I experienced, but I love it. All those aches and pains is left, because yoga release everything. The body is like a human sponge, and everything we go through, right? The body contains it. It holds on to it. And there's different ways you can release it. With yoga, by you massaging those inner organs and doing different postures have different benefits. So the more you continue to do it on a daily basis, you will see the tradition, the experience of what it does for your body, how the healing takes place, and how it has an effect on your mind, body, spirit, overall.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
I
think that's what people
And I
don't
just like to
realize.
emphasize the word you keep using is practice.
Yes, practice.
You have to do this on a regular basis.
Yes, but
You
it
can't
doesn't
just do it once. And I think a lot of people want a quick fix.
Yeah, that's
And
the thing.
it really is a discipline, a spiritual discipline. I've heard yoga is a way to connect with God through the physical, to yoke.
Yes,
right?
yeah, absolutely. I think
So there's a lot
definitely
of different levels being.
yoga is one of the missing elements out of plenty of religions, spiritual practices. Because we definitely focus on the wisdom and the knowledge, but the body is also a temple as well. There's the subconscious.
Right.
This is a second brain. This thing is alive. Once we activate the main nervous system, there's so much more that can come out of that. So much more elevation. But we tend to use the human body for goodies and good snacks. Oh, this tastes good. I get it. I do the same thing sometimes. But if we was to cherish the human body a little bit more, our own personal temple, we'll actually see even more elevation coming from it.
So just to summarize a little, you started on a journey, and that's really what we're all on this earth. We're on a journey,
Right?
seeking truth, seeking meaning. Everyone is somewhere on that. Some are further behind, and just for the younger people out there, I know they're searching. We live in a very difficult world today.
Yes.
So it's being patient and understanding that I'm in my 60s and you're how old? It's
40.
40. I mean, we've been around a little while, so we've experienced a lot of things, and we've been seeking a long time, and we've come to a place where we're more at peace. And I think you just need to be aware of that it is a journey you're on, and to be patient with yourself.
I think that yoga too is what, since I met Josiah, he's always had a calmness about him, which that always helped me with my, if I've not told you that, with my chaos with work. And I think that when I met Josiah, it was an instant bond. His family, his sister, everyone has this great spirit. And if Josiah doesn't mind, when I first met him, it was through the charity, and it was honoring his sister's life. And she was a beautiful soul. You hear that all the time, but she genuinely was a beautiful soul. And all his family was very, very graceful. And with my experience in hospice, which Frank knows, dealing with death, he was very poised, and I think Josiah could probably elaborate on that. I think that yoga would apply. You would agree. You notice at a very young age where most people, I would think, especially as a guy, football, this big career, you felt something and then you went on this journey, like Frank was saying. But that would be encouraging, because even myself, I would not have thought yoga, but it was mentioned. And even with something as horrific as death, he had a peace, but you can elaborate on that. You had to come to a point, right? Because your sister and everything, and that probably helped. That was a resource to you,
absolutely, right? Absolutely. The transition, people experience life and death transition very differently. But when you understand the spirit world, the spirit realm, you know that person is just leaving the body and they're transcending over. I feel like my sister honestly never left. She come visit us all the time. But because of my state of mind and knowing that she's in a different realm now, that brings me peace. Like I never really wept, like other folks. But I really believe it's because of my understanding, and that she is, her physical body is here, but His spirit is definitely still with us. So, and you have to be open to be able to really grasp the understanding of that.
You remind me of a quote I used to know. It says, God whispers to us in our joys, but he shouts to us in our pains. And so when we go through difficult times, it makes us reach out to him and to seek, because something's going on, something negative has happened, whatever it is, whether it's a death or the loss of something, a job.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it makes us seek, right?
Definitely.
That truth.
God will definitely hit you to where you get on your knees and you're like, okay, you've been ignoring me this whole time. Now I have your attention. A lot of times, unfortunately, that's where a lot of people get their spiritual awakening.
Right.
When
we have to go through something. Yeah.
Yes, in order to change their life or actually get where you need to be in order to get on your spiritual journey. Everyone has a different path. Like we was explaining today. You have the Buddha path, you have the Christian path. You have the Shiva path, you have the yoga path.
Right.
I just tend to take a little bit of here, a little bit of there.
Yeah.
As long as it's great positive energy and it's feeding and it's elevating, my spirit. You just go
I think
with that.
yoga could incorporate that, right? No matter what your beliefs
Absolutely, yoga is definitely
it's a resource, I would say, right?
I think that's why it's become so popular. I mean, since it's been introduced in this country,
there's a lot
of people that are practicing yoga.
Right, yeah. A lot of people are practicing it, but also they're leaving out the spiritual side.
Right, exactly.
It's really, honestly, the posture's literally the least common denominator. But it has so much power, then that's all you're looking to seek. But there's a whole nother level of it that you can experience from it. And that's where the breath comes in at. You're awakening things. So we have a lot of yogis that are walking around that's open, but they're not active. The spirit activates, and cleanses your chakra energies, your kundalini energies, your channels, your nadis, all these little different practices, breathing practice. Like this is called Nada Shuddhi Zazen, where you take one inhale here, exhale. You're cleaning all this. It's a powerful stress reliever as well. It cleanses the body. But like I said, there's many forms and walks, and I just would say
this is the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg, and yoga seems to be the thing that everyone is gravitating to now, which is a good thing. A lot of people are being awake.
Right.
So.
Well, Josiah, I really enjoyed having you on today. Maybe we could have him back, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't think we touched on what.
There's so much that you could offer in your experiences.
Yes.
But we are very glad to have you.
Thanks for you.
And I think it was very insightful. To everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed hearing Josiah speak, recognizing that the spiritual path is a journey and everyone's on it, and we hope it encourages you today. So subscribe to the button down below if you liked what you've seen. Thank you very much. Anything anybody want to say before we end?
No, I think I'm glad Josiah finally came to start, and I think that this is just the beginning of what he can.
I would say is just take that first step. Just enter a yoga class, a basic beginner's yoga class. That's it.
Awesome.
So,
all right.
Namaste, people.
Namaste. Well, look, thank you, Josiah, for coming today.
Yes.
It's been a real treat to have you, to just break the ice on yoga, to help people understand they need to take that first step and go for it.
That's it.
And my co-host here.
Yes, absolutely.
Enjoyed it, I know.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad, Josiah, that you did. You just broke the tip of the iceberg. I hope everyone watching, if they want to hear more, you would be more than happy to grace us with your presence again and just kind of continue
Absolutely. Also, you find me on social media, Josiah McCormick, simple, Facebook. Instagram is Yoga Man Joe. And that's about it.
Yeah. And you have classes here in New Orleans. So like you said, take that first step.
Yes, take that first step.
So thanks for tuning in to Life Dimensions again. And please don't forget, press that button down there so we can get more subscribers and more responses to work with you guys. All right.